Okay, I think I fixed it. Sorry, guys. What a mess. I don't know what's wrong with my phone. Maybe I have too much stuff on it, needs cleaned out. I don't know. But it cut me off at the end of the last video. I started a second video with my tag and my haul, which it cut me off in the middle of. It only gave me 6 minutes. I deleted a bunch of stuff, and now I don't have a timer associated with my recording. So I think I fixed it. So I'm sorry, this is in 2 pieces. Technology. We don't get along. Okay, I'm going to have to talk. I still am going to have to talk fast because my oldest is leaving for bowling soon. So, my haul this week is very small. Haul small. Anyway, here it is again. You didn't see it the first time, but here it is again. I have a Hunger Games needle minder from Stitchy Time Creations. And I paid off my Heaven and Earth Designs layaway that I started last year. So I got Fingers of God from Golden Orb Designs. Beautiful. I love it. Alright, I got Dorothy and Toto from Jasmine Beckett Griffith. Absolutely striking. And I got Books of Dreams from Randall Spangler. And I think I'm going to stitch all those adorable little dragons individually. I don't think I'll stitch it all as one. So that's all I got this last week. And I'm going to do Pam Reed's Stitching Style Tag. Hi, Pam. I don't know if you watch, but... So, let's get started. Number 1, what is your favorite fabric? Aida, primarily. I've just started working on even weave. I don't like linen. I've tried it. I don't like it. But mostly Aida, 14 count or 18 count, sometimes 16 count, but mostly 14 and 18. I do use even weave 28 count, and I do like it, but I still go back to my Aida. I can't see anything smaller than 28 count. I know a lot of people like to stitch on 32 and 36. I can't see it. So I have my magnifier. I do, but I'm resisting stitching with my magnifier. All right, number 2, do you use a hoop or frame? And this was a question actually in my last video from Beverly. Hi, Beverly. But I don't use a frame. I don't use a hoop. 90% of my stitching is done in hand. And I do have a PVC lap stand my hubby made me from Pam's tutorial. Awesome. And I do love that, but I primarily mostly stitch in hand. Right, number 3, do you use a stand or just hold your frame? I don't have a frame. I do have a lap stand. That's all one piece. And I use that mostly for my large pieces, my heids, but only sometimes. So, again, mostly just in hand. Number 4, what is your favorite time to stitch? Mostly evening, after the kids have gone to bed. It's all quiet. I can turn my light on and just stitch. Sometimes I stitch in the morning. My husband leaves at 5:30 to go to work. So sometimes if I'm up and it's quiet, I'll stitch. All right, number 5, do you use a printed paper copy of your chart or digital? Mostly printed paper. I do buy a lot of digital charts off Etsy, but I still print them out. I have a Dropbox account, and I can access that on my phone and bring charts up, but I don't know how to mark them off, and I know there's programs, but I don't know how to use them. I am not technology savvy. So mostly I just work off a printed paper copy. I do have digital, but I don't use it very often. Number 6, are you a floss licker? You bet. Love to lick the floss. That sounds weird. But anyway, I am a floss licker. I do have a needle threader coming from True North Needle Minders that may change that, though. We'll see. Number 7, do you hoard or buy supplies as needed? Both. I hoard patterns. I have more patterns than I will ever stitch in my lifetime, and that's okay. And but as far as other supplies, floss and fabric, most of that I buy as needed. Beads, Krynic, most of it's bought as needed for a specific chart. All right, but getting the fabric of the month when it's not necessary for a specific piece, that's different. That's nice. All right, number 8, what is your favorite floss? DMC, mostly. It's what I use primarily. I'm getting into the other kinds of floss. I love Moe's Sail Cotton for variegated. I've used Weeks a little bit, and I've used Gentle Arts a little bit. I like Gentle Arts. And I love Karen Water Lily Silk. I got to use that for the first time the other day. Beautiful, love it. So, but mostly DMC and Moe's Sail for variegated. Right, number 9. Are you a serial starter or do you have a whip at a time? In case you've totally missed the name of my channel, I'm a serial starter. Let's see. Number 10. Do you have more FFOs or UFOs? UFOs, definitely. Although I prefer to think of them as whips. But I only have, I think, 3 FFOs. So I have a lot of finishes, but they're not FFOs yet. All right, number 11. Do you watch TV while stitching? Sometimes. It depends on what I'm stitching on and what I'm watching. Sometimes I can stitch and watch the TV at the same time. Other times I'll stitch and listen to the TV. Other times it has to be quiet. It really depends on what I'm stitching and what I'm watching. 12. Do you mostly stitch alone or do you ever get together with someone to stitch? Both. I do a lot of my stitching alone, although there's usually people around, but I usually stitch alone. Although I do stitch, I'll be talking with my friend Linda in California while I stitch. So, and she's stitching at the same time, so that's kind of like we're together. And then I get together with Katie the Stash Queen and Garrett Coffee Stitcher and Brian C., my fellow stitchers of the Whipocalypse. And we stitch together. We're doing that this Monday. Very exciting. But I'd love to get together with other stitchers and stitch, but mostly alone. All right, number 13. Do you like to experiment and alter things with your charts, or do you stitch them just as written? Both. Mostly when it comes to the chart itself, the actual design, I usually stitch it as it is written. But I'm getting braver about changing colors and just stitching whatever colors I want. So that's changing it. I'm not talented enough to change the actual design. I like take things out or add things or move things, or can't do that. All right. Number 14. Do you bobbinate floss or not? Both. I bobbinate most of my DMC, and some of my Moe's I bobbinate. Other times I just work off the skein. My Weeks that I'm working on from like my Lizzie Kate ABCs of Faith is not bobbinated. So it really depends on the project, but my DMC I do bobbinate. 15. Do you start a project in the middle of your fabric or at the corner? Both. Depends on what it is. Most of my projects start in the middle. My full coverage I start usually in the upper left. Number 16, do you have a whip rotation? Yes. See, 2 videos ago, I did the rotation tag. The rotation tag is from Tea and Stitches, by the way. And number 17, do you use a timekeeper to keep track of how long it takes you to complete a project? Kind of. I mean, I time my stitching, and sometimes I add it up at the end, which can be depressing sometimes. But, the timer's more just to keep me on track instead of to figure out how long it took me to work on something. I do write down, what dates I work on certain projects, what date I start, what date I finish, stuff like that. So kind of. Okay, 18. Do you use the parking technique? Yes, I love it. Fabulous for the full coverage with lots of colors. 19. Do you keep your orts? Yep, I do. My last 2 years, I've stored them. I keep them in a jar, and at the end of the year, I get a plastic ornament ball and fill it. So I've started a new jar for a new year, so I keep my orts. Number 20, do you like to have a snack or drink while stitching? A drink, yes. I normally have water or coffee. I don't drink very much soda, but sometimes. A snack, I usually don't eat a snack while I'm stitching, but I will take a snack break. So, all right, so I think that's all I have. I wish this was all one video, but I'm not re-recording the earlier video because if I did, it wouldn't get done. So, I'm going to upload these, and I guess that's all I have, and I will see you next time, and happy stitching. Bye.